Hello everyone. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. My name is Asia and I make K-pop animation videos, and sometimes I dabble into K-pop commentary. If that's up your alley, please subscribe and enjoy the content. If not and you're only here for this video, thank you for watching, I really appreciate it. Unpopular K-pop opinions. This trend of videos on K-pop YouTube has been around since the third generation of K-pop started gaining more traction globally. Literally everyone has opinions and they want to express them freely. However, as we all know by now, K-pop stans have a horrible reputation of not being able to respect opinions that they disagree with, often leading to them hating anyone that has opinions that are completely different from their own. And I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it and be like, oh, only the younger fans do this. No, I have literally seen fully grown adults lose their marbles over opinions they disagree with. It's not an age thing, it's a maturity thing. I definitely believe the reason why the unpopular K-pop opinion video trend became so popular is because many K-pop stans acknowledge this problem within the community. And they're trying to normalize sharing opinions in general, regardless if people agree or disagree. Of course that's great and all. But unfortunately some people use these videos to literally express some truly opinions. Some videos are toxic stans expressing how much they hate certain idols or groups for the dumbest reasons, or even worse, they talk about idols' looks and bodies and insult them for it, calling them all types of horrible things. Of course, with a trend like this, some people will take advantage of it to say the most deplorable things, but then try to hide behind the "it's just my opinion" excuse. Also, this community thrives off of negativity, another reason why this video trend is so popular. But enough with the mini history lesson. This is my very first unpopular K-pop opinions video, so I'm excited to share my own opinions. The title of this video is a tiny bit exaggerated, but most people titled them like this anyway. I know for sure some of the opinions I have are unpopular to some degree, but there are some that I don't often see other K-pop commentary YouTubers talk about. So if this video pops off like all the other ones within this trend, I'm very curious to see what you guys have to say. Okay, so before I start, I actually want to showcase and talk about some K-pop opinions I received from a short I made nearly a year ago. Huge thank you to some of the people who shared their opinions under that short. And I'm so sorry this video took so long to finally be made. I originally made that short because at the time I didn't have enough of my own opinions to share for one whole video. But as time passed, more and more naturally came to me. I still want to discuss what these other people said though, because I have things to say about them. So let's finally get into it. Twice could have done so much better, yet still released Scientist. It's actually my least favorite title track made by them. Completely agree with this one, honestly. I've been a once since the release of Likey, and when Scientist came out I was not impressed by it at all. I don't know what JYP was thinking giving Twice that song, but it was not great. I don't hate the song per se, but to me it just doesn't sound like a typical Twice song to me. Thankfully their title track releases afterwards got better and went back to normal. But this one was definitely a big miss for them. Big thank you to this person leaving a whole list of interesting opinions we can discuss. Also don't worry, none of these are offensive at all. 1. BLACKPINK is overrated. In recent years I started to believe this too. As a casual BLACKPINK fan, I recently started realizing how unbelievably overrated and overhyped they are. Their music isn't all that great or groundbreaking, yet every time they have a comeback, which we all know they come back every 10 years, people go wild and praise their title tracks, pre-releases and B-sides like it's music they've never heard before. Everyone treats BLACKPINK like they're the absolute best at doing the girl crush concept when that's not true. Are they good at it? Yes, but other groups have done it in better ways. I'll link a video in the description below that talks about why BLACKPINK's music isn't the girl power material like Blink's portray it to be. It's super well made and explains it way better than I ever could. 2. ARMY is sometimes toxic. Sometimes? I don't know if you're an ARMY, but as an ARMY myself I know exactly how toxic they are. I made a whole video talking about it, will be linked in the description. I don't want to talk about them again, but I'll say this. That fandom got worse after 2017. And since the fanbase keeps growing every single day, it only gets worse and worse as more people join it. As an ARMY since 2016. It's unbearable at this point, and I don't see myself really communicating with the fandom anytime soon, or ever. I can't even bring myself to watch BTS content anymore, I'm so burned out. The only things I'm excited for is Jimin's solo album and maybe Yoongi's solo album if he releases one before enlistment, but everything else I just don't care enough for right now. 3. I don't think YG is treating some of his trainees fair. I don't know anything about this as I don't stan any YG groups except BLACKPINK, but I don't doubt it. From what I've heard, that man is so disrespectful to his own groups, especially girl groups. 4. Underrated groups have the best music. Personally, I don't hate small or underrated groups at all. It's just a lot of the time their music doesn't appeal to me. But hey, if anyone wants to recommend some small or underrated groups with bangin' music, leave recommendations in the comments below. 5. I feel like Psy is being forgotten. With the release of that and the insanely positive response to it in Korea, I don't think that's happening, honey. 6. Third gen has the best music. In my opinion, I definitely think third and fourth gen have been killing it with music releases. Music from second gen groups don't appeal to me that much. I hope me just saying that didn't piss off the second gen stans that always scream and cry about how second gen was the best. It's fine if you prefer second gen music. But please stop shitting on these third and fourth gen groups all because you think their music is garbage. Newsflash, you are not special or unique for preferring second gen music, just saying. 7. Some K-pop fans praise their idols too much. Oh my god, yes, this is too true. Idols literally get praised for doing things that are basic human decency and common sense, and it's bizarre. And now that I think about it as I write this script, doesn't that further prove that K-pop stans don't fully see these idols as normal human beings? If you're praising them for doing things that normal everyday people do, that has to mean you don't completely see them as a normal person, right? I don't think I'm wrong about this. I'm guilty in doing this too sometimes, but what K-pop stan hasn't done this? It's extremely normalized within the community and it will never stop. 8. Anyone gonna ignore the fact that Charlie Puth and Jungkook's collab was random? And I heard that Charlie used BTS for clout, so I don't trust him. Since this is an unpopular opinion video, I'll say this right now. Armies don't interact. The Charlie Puth and Jungkook collab was bad. I didn't care for it at all. I didn't even watch the music video. All I know is that Jungkook had some suggestive lyrics in the song and that's it. As for Charlie Pussy, he definitely used BTS for clout. There's proof of him only liking and getting to know the BTS members solely because of their massive fanbase. The only song I like from him is Light Switch. 9. BTS Dynamite was overplayed. Even though I like Dynamite, I do agree. And I think it was overplayed because the Western media was celebrating BTS finally making an all-English track for once. The song is good. But compared to BTS other songs it's pretty mid at best. 10. I feel like this one is underrated, but some idols don't care about their fans and just decided to be idols for the fame. This one is very underrated and nearly no one talks about it because they don't want it to be true. It's one of those hard to swallow pill type of things. Some of the idols that are either super famous or not as famous or known, didn't become idols because they wanted to make music. Some of them, maybe even a lot of them, only become idols to make it easier to find work after their contract is up. To dive a little bit into Korean culture real quick. It's insanely hard to find a job in Korea unless you look super attractive. South Korea cares a lot about looks. To the point where if you're deemed as unattractive by people at a workplace or even the society there in general, you're not getting hired no matter how skilled you are for the job. Why do you think so many people out there get plastic surgery? So many K-pop stans are extremely hell-bent on proving that their favorite idols didn't get plastic surgery and they look naturally beautiful. But if you take a good 2 seconds to look at their pre-debut photos and compare them to their current photos, and you can clearly see a difference somewhere in their face. Even then, K-pop stans will still scream, cry and foam out of their mouth telling you that they did not go under the knife at all. Like, oh really? These idols just so happen to naturally develop a perfect V-line chin and a perfectly straight nose out of nowhere? The strong disdain for plastic surgery in general within the K-pop fandom is so odd to me, but I'm not here to discuss that. There are even some people that become idols solely because they want to date other idols. Some of you might not believe this because they don't make it look obvious, of course, but think about it. A lot of K-pop idols debut when they're very young, and they claim they dreamed of becoming idols because they love music or love to perform. Do you really think that absolutely zero of these children and young adults wanting to become idols have a goal of wanting to possibly date one of their favorite idols? Do not act like some of you don't think about that whenever you imagine yourself as a K-pop idol. With the amount of kids and teens wanting to become idols nowadays, I have no doubt in my mind that a lot of them only want to be idols to have a much higher chance at dating Kim Taehyung. Or maybe even a K-drama actor. And yes, some of these idols do only want the fame and money. For any idols that are perceived as having huge egos, it's probably them. But again, K-pop stans refuse to have this conversation because they don't want any of this to be true. The sheer thought of their favorite idols not caring about them as fans destroys the whole fantasy, but it probably doesn't matter anyway because they will still support these idols no matter what. The the loyalty is already too high for them to suddenly stop supporting. Again, big thank you to those people who left comments under my shorts video with their K-pop opinions. They were all very interesting and I surprisingly had a lot to say about most of them. Now, we're finally at the meat and potatoes of this video. My very own unpopular K-pop opinions. Some of these will absolutely definitely ruffle some feathers, so prepare yourselves before proceeding. Alright, let's get started. Number 1. Idols lip-syncing on live music shows is not a big deal. Starting off light, the outrage for idols lip-syncing is kinda bizarre to me. I personally never cared about musicians in general lip-syncing. Every single time I notice that idols are lip-syncing for a performance, I always assume that they have to rest their voice or not put as much strain on it. That's why idols sometimes lip sync. They have to rest their voice every once in a while to prevent injury on the vocal cords. I do kinda understand the frustration around idols constantly lip syncing for nearly every single performance though. But instead of blaming and hating on the idols for that, maybe blame the companies instead? I feel like the rage towards idols lip syncing is just another excuse to hate on them for no real reason. It's not a war crime to lip sync. Number 2. K-pop stans don't actually care about protecting idols who are still minors. Oh boy, here we go. With everything going on in recent years, do I even have to explain this one? All I have to do is mention some names and you'll immediately know what I'm talking about. Kim Garam, Jang Wonyoung, Nishimura Riki, Jaeon Jungkook. For those that somehow don't know or you just became a K-pop fan 2 seconds ago, I'll explain very briefly. Kim Garam was kicked out of the group LE SSERAFIM due to accusations. But then later were proven to be false claims and she was officially proven innocent by the court. Jang Wonyoung from IVE gets bullied for literally everything she does, including eating a strawberry and pizza. I know she's 18, but she's still incredibly young. Nishimura Riki, aka Nikki from ENHYPEN, gets overtly sexualized all the time. The amount of thirst trap content made of him on social media is absurd. The exact same thing happened to Jungkook from BTS as well. K-pop stans, do me a favor and stop preaching about protecting these minor idols when all y'all do is and sexualize them. It's just like how stans preach about how important mental health is, but then immediately turn around and idols on their stan Twitter accounts because you're bored and the companies won't stop you unless you do something very serious. Number 3. The permission to dance criticism was exactly what BTS needed to hear. Alright, before armies try to destroy me, give me some room to explain. The criticism BTS got when PTD released was exactly what they needed to make them realize what the hell they were doing. I did make a video talking about the song, link below. But since then my opinions changed. PTD was not a good song at all. It sounded so far off from the iconic BTS sound we know and love dearly, hence why it got so much flack. All of the armies that aggressively defended that song on social media were just in complete denial that BTS finally unintentionally made a bad song. They admitted that they started to feel lost around the time PTD was made. And yes, I know RM expressed his anger and disappointment over how PTD was perceived. He had every right to feel that way, but at the same time it was what they needed to get them to snap out of whatever Nickelodeon Disney era they were in. This is literally why it's good to give constructive criticism to artists on their work. Armies have literally tried to protect BTS from all criticism this whole time. It probably got them to a place where they felt like they could make anything and armies would just eat it up no matter what. So let me make this crystal clear to armies out there. Ahem. It's perfectly okay to give BTS criticism. We know they've been through a lot, but them hearing a little bit of critique is not gonna make them crumble and cry on the floor. They are grown men, they can take it. And please don't use that clip of RM saying he was mad about how PTD was perceived and use that as more fuel to harass people who critique their music. If PTD was received well like Dynamite and Butter, we probably would have gotten another song that sounded just like it and I would have lost my mind. Number 4. I'm beyond tired of cultural appropriation scandals. Now, before I elaborate because this one is very controversial, let me say something. To the toxic black K-pop stans. Not all black people have the exact same opinions and or experiences as you. We are not a damn hive mind. Once you get that through your skull, I promise you will be at peace. Got it? Okay, anyways. Cultural appropriation scandals in K-pop get on my nerves so bad. I understand that a lot of the time CA is done for aesthetic purposes only within K-pop. And I also understand why the black community gets very upset every time it happens. However, the reason I personally get annoyed is because I feel like the black community is completely gatekeeping and erasing the idea of something called cultural appreciation. Believe it or not, there are a lot of non-black people that love braids, cornrows, big afros, dreads, etc. so much that they want to wear those hairstyles to really appreciate them. Some people have no ill intent in mind, believe that or not, but the black community these days don't want anyone else to wear these hairstyles. Guys, it's hair. Yes, there's a ton of history behind the hair. Yes, I know it gets mocked and ridiculed on black people even today. But why not let the non-black people who actually love and appreciate the history behind these hairstyles wear them when they're not doing any harm intentionally? Literally the only reason why I don't like it when K-pop idols wear black hairstyles is because they never look good in them ever. That one time Yoongi wore braids back in 2013 was awful. Thank God he never wore them again. Also, idols wearing do-rags don't bother me either, but again, this is just me. Of course, if all of this offends you personally, I understand and you have every right to be angry, but it does not personally bother me. Let me be clear again, we are not a damn hive mind. There's 2 more opinions I have left, but they're very similar, so I'll lump them together. Number 5 and 6, non-Korean and non-Asian K-pop stans talking about Korean culture as if they are Korean. And international K-pop stans expect idols to know everything about their culture, but they know nothing about Korean culture. So this is the K-pop opinion, or fact in this case. I rarely see people talk about. International K-pop stans have this weird thing where they full-on expect these Korean Asian idols to know the history of certain countries and cultures. Yet, a lot of them probably don't know a single thing about South Korea's history and culture. And yet for some goddamn reason, they also constantly speak over actual Koreans when talking about specifically bowing culture in Korea. Like, why are y'all suddenly experts on how bowing works in Korea as if you're born and raised in Korea yourself? Okay, let me try to wrap my head around this logic. So you guys expect these idols who lived in Korea or some other country their entire life to know the entire history of your country and specifically the history behind the N-word. But it's perfectly fine for you, an equally ignorant K-pop stan, to not know a fraction about Korean history at all? Oh, but you can totally definitely speak about how bowing works because that seems simple enough, despite never growing up in Korea, or I don't know, being Korean yourself. Will there ever be a day where K-pop stans don't blatantly show how hypocritical they are? As an American, do you know how stupid and embarrassing it is for me to see other American K-pop stans fully expect these idols to know everything about American culture? It quite literally gives off those specific American patriotism vibes that I hate so much. People who live outside of America are not gonna know everything about America and its culture. It's giving America is the best and only country in the world bullshit. Stop it. Now I'm not trying to say that you have to know everything about Korean history in order to be a K-pop fan, however. When you do some research on its culture and how some things work over there, it does help give a much better understanding of some things. All of this to say to international stans, please stop speaking over Korean people when it comes to K-pop. You know damn well if a Korean person spoke over you and your culture, you would explode in anger, and you know that. We're at the end of the video. It got real controversial near the end there, but that's what this video trend is for anyway. If anyone got pissed at my hot takes, that means I did this trend correctly, right? Huge thank you to everyone that made it this far. I may make another video like this in the future, but I would have to wait until more unpopular opinions brew in my head again. Or I could make a video only discussing other people's opinions like I did at the beginning. Either way, it's gonna be a while before I make anything like this again. If this video does well, be respectful and civil in the comments, please. Before I head out, I want to mention there was one more unpopular opinion I was originally gonna include in this video, but the more I thought about what I wanted to say about it, more bull kept happening and I started having even more things to say about it, to the point where it's enough to become its own entire video. I'll give a little hint on who it's about. Here are the hints. Should be an interesting video, however I need a lot of time to prepare it. I'm pretty passionate about it, so I want to make sure everything is said as clearly as possible. Be on the lookout for that. Time to go. Please check out all of the videos I linked in the description below. Thank you for watching my very first unpopular K-pop opinions video. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.